I have seen some crazy marriage proposals in my day, but this one might take the cake. Jagged Edge would be proud. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. The third episode of Dope Thief is here. It is called Run, Die, Relapse. I'm gonna be honest with you. At the start of this particular episode, I didn't think I was going to enjoy this episode at all. The first half of this episode is a lot of watching Ray spiral out of control, and just watch that downward spiral. And it felt like we were sort of spinning our wheels, and the momentum that we had sort of built for those first two episodes sort of felt like it was coming to a screeching halt. I am happy to say that the back half of this episode sort of picks that speed back up, and we just sort of took a breather for a moment before we continued that kicking that can down the hill and keeping the momentum going. The episode picks up with Ray not being able to find Manny. That's the main first half of this episode. Is Ray can't move on or go anywhere or do anything until he locates where Manny is, and he can't find Manny, and he's looking everywhere for him. He gets word that some of the places that he's looking at or looking for Manny at, that people are looking for him. So, they're not cops. So he hears they're like, okay, there are people that don't look like they belong in the neighborhood looking for him. So he's like, okay, now I got to keep my head on a swivel, but I got to find Manny to make sure that he's okay, or did he just leave me and abandon me? And I think it's a little bit of both that he's feeling like, hey, I need to find him because we're each other's sort of right hand man. But at the same time, he's probably like, I hope to God that Manny's not hurt, or that he just left me and abandoned me like my father would or has. He's spiraling out. He sort of corners Son, his intel man, while he's on a run, to be like, hey, I need help. I need you to help me. And Son's like, look, whatever you've done, people who are around you end up in crosshairs. I'm not trying to end up in crosshairs, so I'm going to say, I'm going to wipe my hands of you right now. This will be the last conversation that you and I need to have. Leave me alone. We shouldn't talk anymore. He goes to a pawn shop and he finds out that Manny has been there at the pawn shop. And he's kind of like, well, he asks the man, like, well, what did Manny buy? And he's like, I'm not giving you that information, but he deduces that Manny bought a handgun. He then gets a call from his mom, Teresa, saying that she's returning from Atlantic City. So he starts flipping out a little bit, like, okay, I can't both try to find Manny, keep people safe, and then Teresa, my mom, is coming back home. So, like, my opportunity to keep people safe and out of this sort of crosshairs that I've created is dwindling down because Teresa's returning and I can't find where the hell Manny is. So he quickly goes back to Manny's place and sort of just ransacks the place. Like, we see a moment of him sort of spiraling out, looking like he's doing drugs, but like just freaking the hell out. Because he can't get a hold of Manny. And in his destruction of Manny's property at home, he finds that Manny had a ring taped up under one of the drawers that he's planning to propose to Sherry. So he holds onto that ring because he knows that if Manny was truly running or gone, he would have come back to get this ring. No matter what state Manny was in, he's not going to leave this ring to propose to the woman that he loves just there. So he knows that either Manny is hurt or Manny is still around and hasn't completely fled because this police is still here. We then go to see a funeral of Jack Cross, who was the male at that at that bust in Knoxville, where Mina was. And Mina mentions Jack as being the other officer that was on the scene. We're watching his funeral, and while that's happening, Mina sort of comes to the side and kind of asks the DEA agents, like, hey, do you have any leads? Do you have any information? They're kind of like, no, we don't have anything. They then get back to the office and they start finding a couple of things where the van that Ray and Manny burned out and left on frames, basically, has been found. And then a few miles away, they scan the river and they find that the license plate that was missing from the burned van is there. They find the plate and they find the handgun. And that handgun is registered to someone. And so then they go shake down Jerome, who is the grandson of the person who's registered uh, weapon that is. So they kind of do a 6 degrees of separation to sort of get to find some clues to find out where exactly this gun came from, which is clear going to be attached to one of the DEA busts, quote unquote, that Ray and Manny did. They got the gun from there, thus so on and so forth, and they'll connect the two. Ray tries to reach out to Son again, and Son is like, look, I told you once, stop calling my house. So, like, we done here, bro. Like, I got nothing else to say to you. It tells him it's not personal. Like, he feels a type of way about Ray, but Ray is sort of crashing out and making it almost as if he's like a wife. Like, you just gonna do this to me? Like, you're not gonna like respect me or like listen to me or like bring me in some way? Like, you're just gonna dismiss me like this? And Son's like, this isn't personal. This is business. This is what we've always been, business. And Ray's kind of like, you just think of me like a mark. Like, all this time that we put in, all this stuff, you just think of me as a hustler. You don't see me as anything else. And Ray kind of, based on how he went to the house on that Sunday as opposed to Monday, he sort of saw Son as sort of a surrogate family, like a family that he kind of didn't have. And so he's now sort of being discarded by this family, similarly how he was discarded by Bart, his actual true family. So he just doesn't feel like he belongs and no one really wants him. And he's kind of feeling like he's out there on his own again. Even more so because he can't get a hold of Manny. Everything that up to this point is where I think the show, it's good. It's getting some dramatic beats, but it doesn't feel like it's keeping the energy level that those first 2 episodes had. From this point on, I quickly was like, well, I wrote in my notes, never mind. We're still on that same pace. And because we see those biker gang folks come up into the pawn shop that Ray was at, well, Manny too, that Ray was at earlier, and start roughing up and subsequently killing the pawn shop owner to get some information as to where Ray is. The pawn shop owner doesn't give up anything about Ray's whereabouts, but he does give a little bit of information about Ray's dad, which they get before they pop him. Ray goes back to his home to check out, after getting the dog back, who's been ravaging the storage unit that they have, peeing and pooping everywhere. But Teresa has been saying, I'm coming back home. She makes it back home, and now Manny's kind of like, I don't know what to do with you. Like, I can't keep you safe if you're back here. She thinks that Ray is on drugs. And so she is trying to sort of have an intervention with him. She pulls out her Bible, like her notes that she's had. It's like, look, and it's like one of those AA meeting type of interventions. And Ray's like, you're supposed to have more than one person here for an intervention. And she's like, well, you ain't got no friends. You done pushed everybody else away. So this is what the intervention is going to look like. It's to which point Ray's like, I can't let you do this. Like, I'm not on drugs often, but I'm not on drugs. That's not what this is. And then he comes clean and tells her what he's actually doing. Lets it all out there. Like, Manny and I have been doing this for DA. We've been doing good for the community. So, oh, cool. Pillars of the society. But he lays it all out there. He says, we've been doing this and we wound up doing it to someone who is now putting everybody that we love, including ourselves, in danger. And she slapped the shit out of him. And he's like, wait, no, we like Robin Hood. And she's like, you're not giving to the poor. And this is one of the funniest things that I've heard in this whole series. She's like, well, you are pretty damn poor, and I've been giving it to you. But she's not wanting to hear that. She's like, you're just like a degenerate, just like your father, just like you're not that far. Like I've said in the previous episode, Ray and Bart are 2 peas of the same pot, and they're not that far apart from each other. She kind of lets him know that what he's doing is just as bad as what Bart was doing previously. While you may not be taking the drugs or selling the drugs, you are doing something that is illegal and is not on the up and up. And you've now brought shame and pain and anguish to your family. Ray goes up to the attic to just try to collect some things before he heads back out. And up there, he finds Manny has just been hiding in limbo. Mind you, Manny is 3 sheets to the wind. He is high as all get out. And he has to crap. He has to take a poop. Ray's like, I can't take it downstairs right now until I get Teresa out of here. So give me a second. I will go do that. When he goes back downstairs, he finds out that Bart has been stabbed while in prison, in custody. Teresa freaking out. She's like, "You got to take me to the prison." He's like, "I'm not doing that." She's like, "You need to get me to the prison so I can dial myself up and give him something to live for." He's like, she used the word lover. He's like, "Please don't ever use that word in reference to this. Is just gross." But subsequently, he does take her to the prison. It also gives Manny a way to get out of the house. So it kills two birds with one stone, even though he would have rather had just gotten her out of the house. They make it to the prison. Ray is not planning to go in. He lets Teresa out. She goes into the prison, and he just sits there in the car. While he's sitting there in the car, he starts seeing some of those biker folks showing up, and then Michelle, the lawyer, knocks on his window, scares the living piss out of him. He wants to come clean to her, but doesn't. But he ends up taking her to a nearby jail coffee bar, if you will. There's some guards from the prison that are there, and they begin to chat a little bit. While they are chatting, the men that were killed the pawn shop owner start making their way into the bar, and there's more biker folks there as well. They kill the cameras. Ray is clocking all of this. He's seeing them kill the cameras. He's seeing all of this while he's trying to talk to Michelle. Michelle thinks that Ray is on the up and up and just like trying to figure out the best way to have him have a moment to have with his father. She feels like, oh, he's reluctant to go meet her father, and Ray's kind of like, yeah, that's not it. He's clocking the scene. This is a very intense scene because you're like, I don't know what they'll do in this moment, and I don't know how Ray can get out of this outside of like getting Michelle caught up. It's like a multiple of things that are happening because Michelle's just an innocent in this moment. So it's a really well shot scene, really intense sequence that we hear a phone call with our lead biker talking to the main voice that we've heard making all the threats. And he says, like, I'm surprised, I'm really shocked that Ray didn't go see his dad. Like that's crazy after what we did. But he still did take the bait to get here. So that's something. And he's like, don't know what to do. Don't let him leave. However, you got to do it outside. You can't do it in there with all those guards around. They're like, okay, cool. Michelle coaxes Ray, so she thinks, to go to see Bart. But he's using that as a way to sort of just get out of this situation. Also to get some more information out of Bart to see who else he may have told about his sort of his scenario and what he does. But Ray smartly uses, as the guards that are in that coffee shop get up to lead, he uses them as a shield. So he sort of gets in between them. They all sort of exit at the same time. Thus, the bikers can't attack or do anything because they're not going to also harm themselves or harm the folks, the officers, to sort of get themselves jammed up and pinched and go to jail. Ray goes to see Bart with Michelle and Teresa outside the door. They can't really hear what they're saying, but Bart and Ray have a conversation. Bart's like, hey, did I take a shit for you? Like, am I the reason for this? And Ray's kind of like, well, you brought this on yourself. Like, you clearly told some people other than what you told me who it is about my business. Who was it? And Bart's like, I don't know what you're talking about. They do like a little aggressive hug to the point where you can tell that Ray is trying to injure or harm or put some pressure on the stab wound that he has, but nothing really happens with this. They just both butt heads again and say kick rocks back to each other. Bart does say that he's disappointed in Ray as a son, which Ray then throws back at him like, you got a lot of nerve being disappointed from a jail cell, and you haven't been a father any of these years. So again, they have a right to be disappointed in each other because they both are the mirror images of each other. They're doing the exact same thing by putting themselves in harm's way as well as the folks that they love. They may not be going about it the same way. There may be a little bit more of a heroism piece to it on Ray's behalf, but it's still, the poop stinks no matter which one is pooping it out. Ray knows that when he leaves this jail, those bikers are going to be on the other side of it and he's going to die. And he said she said so much to Bart. He says, my hope is that I can at least shield Teresa and Michelle in some way that they don't feel the brunt of this. But he gathers his belongings and then he takes that long walk down the corridor before the gate opens outside, and he sees all the bikers sort of get out of their cars, get off their bikes, and prepare to meet him face to face. And it looks like he's about to meet his maker. And then a raid happens outside the jail cell, and all of these bikers are arrested. And Ray's able to kind of just walk away and go do his thing. Crazy, right? We then see a shot of Mina talking to the DEA agents through like her phone and text because she still doesn't have her voice box. But she's saying the Alliance did this. Like the Alliance is responsible for this. We need to get a record of anybody who had a visitation pass in that moment because someone cleared something and got something done that basically changed all of this. It seems like she might think that somebody wants Ray to continue on the path and sort of do more things, maybe get the money to them. I don't know. But they want to keep Ray on the board as opposed to just taking Ray out. They learn of Michelle, who they think may have something more to do with things than she lets on. But then the biggest piece is a composite sketch comes back of Ray, what he looks like with a makeshift DEA hat, and it brings to Mina immediately. So now they have sort of a composite, an idea of who Ray is and what he looks like, and that he's running with Michelle, so that they know that's an associate. Ray goes back to the storage unit where he told Manny, like, hey, if we ever get separated, this is where we're going to meet at. Goes back to the storage unit to collect Manny. And he tells Manny that this car is burning. It's Sherry's car, but he tells him that this car is burned. That they know what it looks like because they all saw me get in and out of it at the police station. So we got to destroy this car. And Manny's like, well, cool. You're going to have to tell Sherry because I'm going to be in the doghouse. And so the next scene is seeing Manny and Ray getting their heads shoot off by Sherry. Like just Manny's getting destroyed in Spanish. So Ray can't understand most of it, but he's picking up words every now and then. He's like, I know Spanish. And both of them are like, you don't know Spanish. Sherry's mom is there and it's talking about how much of a degenerate Manny is and how Ray is. And like, blah, it's getting messy. Ray gets up to interject. Is like, hey, look, real talk. I know this looks bad. I know this looks bad. Your car is burned. That's on me. This is all my fault. He's just following behind me. He's a good man. He loves you. She's like, love? You don't know nothing about love. Like, he don't love me. Like, that's just a word, the way they're using it. My man is like, no, real talk. He loves you. He wanted to make this a thing with you. He pulls out the ring and basically pushes forward the proposal that Manny was going to do and just makeshift. So he puts the ring in his hands. He pushes him down on his knee. Proposal happened. It's a mess. It is a mess of a scene. He takes mother-in-law to the side. I'm like, hey, you don't get to interject. Let these two lovers do what they got to do and see what it was. And Sherry is moved by this moment. Like, I don't know. She's an attractive girl. I don't know if there's not enough prospects out there, but this seems to be working for her. This drug-induced man getting on his knees and being pushed on his knees to give her a ring seems to be enough to be like, yeah, like I want this for the rest of my life, despite all that's happening, despite you having to set my car on fire, despite that I'm in danger because of whatever the hell you're putting me in. Don't want me to call the cops. This seems like what I want for life. Sign me up. But Ray wants to give them their moment, so he steps outside to get a fresh air and let them sort of have their moment to say yay or nay. He steps outside and he looks down the stairs and there's a box there. He goes to the box and the box has a note on it that says, give us our shit or more heads will roll. He opens up the box and inside the box is the head of the pawn shop owner that they roughed up before. And then Manny comes out smiling, happy with a bottle of champagne, about to pop it like, yo, it's time to celebrate it. Clearly she said yes. We got to pop it up and let's celebrate. My man's like, no. This ain't the time to celebrate because there's a whole man's head inside this box. We're not celebrating. And that's how the episode ends. It's going to be interesting to see. Clearly, there are more players at play than the bikers because they all seem to be under arrest. Yet somehow that box made it to Sherry's place by hook or crook. Someone got it there and it wasn't the bikers because they were all still in custody. So it's going to be interesting to see what inside person on the police is sort of protecting or shielding Ray enough to keep him moving down the line, but also still threatening. But yeah, a good episode. Not as good as the first two. I think it's uneven. I think the first half of just watching him sort of spiral don't work as well for me as much as the second half once we actually see the chase still occurring. Once we get there, that's when the episode starts picking back up. And I think what it feels like now that we sort of had to have this moment of seeing what this did to Ray's psyche, now we'll sort of just, and now that he's gotten Manny back, we'll sort of pick this back up. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where Sherry stands in all of this now that she's sort of, I'm going to stand by and support my man, and that they have each other when Ray still has no one. He's kind of on an island by himself. So, yeah, good episode. Some great dramatic performances from Brian Tyree Henry in this. He's doing most, if not all, the heavy lifting in this episode. It's all really on him. What did you guys think about this third episode of Dope Thief called Run, Die, Relapse? So here's your thoughts and comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on X at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere to place podcasts. We're there. This week, we will be talking about Snow White. Like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.